welcome my good buddy, Tim Moore. Tim,
Hey,
it is an absolute pleasure to have you on, my friend.
what's up, Dan? Good to see you. Thanks for
Good to
having
see you, brother. So, Tim Moore is the CEO of View Studios, Diamond View Productions. Tim and I met probably 5-6 years ago when Diamond View was still on a rocket ship, but now it's on a multiple rocket ships, just hurling towards every single production studio around the United States and around the world. Tim, why don't you give everybody a little bit of your story before we get into what you guys did with the Florida Gators?
Yeah, well, sure. A little background on me. About 16 years ago, I fell in love with doing video and started a production company. And at that time was mainly just doing weddings. I was 18 years old, couldn't afford a camera, so I was borrowing my buddies and started Diamond View to do a little weekend work. And a year later, my girlfriend at the time bought me a camera, and this is back in the day when it was the tape-based cameras, the big over-your-shoulder style. And so that was a big investment. And I thought, man, I ended up marrying her. Now, 12 years later, we got 2 boys and still following that dream. But Diamond View ended up growing and becoming the largest production company here in Tampa. And along the way, we found out that, the technology was continuing to shift. We saw it go from film to digital. And during the pandemic, it went from digital to virtual. And so we started getting into virtual production, which is essentially, if you look at the film industry for the last 50 years, we've been using green screen as a way to replace the background and put in visual effects. Virtual production is using large format LED screens to get those visuals in real time. So it's like the holodeck, whatever you can imagine, you can put in the background and it's instant. What you see is what you get. So this is huge for the commercial industry because now we can do a car shoot, put it in Tokyo, snap the fingers. Now it's in London, snap the fingers. Now it's somewhere else around the world. The logistics of traveling that car would have taken days, but shooting in the studio takes seconds. So this has been a great technology. So we've built 4 of those studios that we own and operate around the U.S. in Nashville, Vegas, Orlando, and Tampa. But we've built 16 of them for other clients in North America as well. And so we're a fast growing virtual studio network and looking to build some more this year.
That's awesome. Tim, talk to us a little bit about that tech. So it's a bunch of LED screens. Obviously, that makes it very simplified. But what more can you do? What are the capabilities? Talk to us a little bit about the tech that goes into one of these View production studios.
Well, if you've ever worn a VR headset, the experience is it goes over your eyes, and wherever you turn, this perspective changes. And so it feels very real and immersive. That's the same thing here. This is all the technology of a VR headset at the scale of an IMAX theater. And so when the camera goes in there and it turns left or right, the entire perspective of the screen changes. And so it's a very realistic effect. We often have people walk in and they almost are a little bit disoriented because whatever we show, they feel like they're there for a second. So when it snaps, it's jarring. But what that allows us to do is that when we sync that camera and that visual, that optical illusion you see is getting captured right into camera. So it's all real time final pixel, and really the tech stack is all built on a 3D game engine. So the same game engine that makes Fortnite, Unreal Engine, is producing all of these graphics. And I guess the most extraordinary thing about it is about a year ago, we hit the tipping point where computer generated graphics have now become indistinguishable from regular, photography, video. So you could go into a stock library and ask someone, was this really captured or was it made by a computer? And 9 out of 10 people can't tell the difference. So we're at a point now that anything you can think up, you can see on the screen, and to most people, it looks photorealistic.
That's
what kind of weird situations can we put Silk in then?
Why you want to put me in a weird situation?
Listen, I'm just the imagination's running. Tim gave me a thought, and I'm running with it.
Well, I'll tell you one that's become very normal is shooting on the moon. Logistically, the moon's kind of hard to get to.
Silk on the moon.
Yeah. So that one's a request we get often.
With me on the moon?
Yeah.
You ever been?
Not physically. Not physically, Tim. Tim, who was your at your point in like creating this company? At what point did you realize that you kind of got a big thing going? Like what client, which celebrity, who was it for you?
Well, the turning point for me was about 3 months into this. We had booked some really big clients. We had Mercedes-Benz in, NFL Films was in, but the weekend of the Super Bowl was in Tampa that year. You know, we the Bucks had a home game, and so we got a call from the Today Show, and they said, "Hey, we heard about your technology. We'd love to feature you." And I thought, man, that's amazing. When do you guys want to do it? And they said on Super Bowl weekend. I said, great.
Ooh.
So we ended up on the Today Show on Super Bowl weekend, and ever since that date, the phones never stopped ringing, and it was definitely a pivotal moment for us because this was an experiment to start with. We were seeing if this would help our business grow, and the studio ended up outperforming the business that I grew for 15 years.
Man.
And so, you know, we had to make the decision. Hey, is this what we're going to pursue? And so, me and my partner John, who had been working in Diamond View, basically brought some of the people from Diamond View over and started growing View. And now today, View's about 100 people strong in locations all around the U.S.
So you don't want to shoot my wedding in June, Tim?
Hey, you know what?
not doing those weekend gigs anymore.
We could set up a View studio at Nick's wedding, and he can invite tens of thousands, maybe millions of people. They can feel like they're there. Tim, talk to us a little bit about UF. You know, we don't have to go into a lot of the specifics there, but when UF approached you about the opportunity to bring in a View studio into their new athletic football only facility there, what kind of things did they say that they were looking for? Talk to us a little bit about that relationship with UF. Obviously, very different than Mercedes-Benz or, an actual studio using it. This is going to be used for athletes and for recruits. What was that conversation like and what they were asking for you guys?
Yeah. Well, the University of Florida is so interesting. They're always on the cutting edge of technology. And when they came to us, it was from the athletic side of the university. And we've done a lot of university installs. So we've are familiar with this, but never on the athletic side. And once we dug into what they were looking for, we found that they were using the studio. Their vision for it was so different than everyone else's. They wanted to be the first university to really be in the metaverse with sports. And so they're using it not only for the NIL side of it, that they can make promotions for their student athletes and be able to promote them, but also from a recruiting standpoint, they're giving students the experience to step into this volume and see what it's like to walk on a field with 60,000 fans screaming your name. And it's such an interesting tool for recruitment because the way that you decide what you're going to do in your life is so much based on how well you can visualize it. If you can give someone a vision for here's what your future is going to be in a year, you're going to win that 9 times out of 10 because they see it. They've put themselves in the situation. And so that's what really blew my mind when I started seeing how University of Florida was using is they are, they're getting some of the top recruits and now letting them see what their future could be like, as a Gator.
We've seen they've had some recruiting videos where they put a GoPro on someone's helmet and they're running out. Running out of the tunnel on a game day, and hey, that looks cool on this, on your laptop as you're showing them. Okay, let's put you in front of this gigantic screen, and now it's completely immersive. So there's a lot of interesting things. They've had drone footage during games, a lot of interesting things that they can put them on your screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a unique thing about the screen is we're so used to seeing these 2-dimensional rectangles that all the media lives inside the glass. But when you stand inside of immersive display and you're wrapped all around, you don't feel like you're watching it. You feel like you're there. And so that just does take it to a whole nother level.
Right. What do you see your future with View in the metaverse and this whole virtual future world? Like, how do you see View fitting in?
Well, the premise of what we do is simulation. So we're simulating a virtual world. It appears real, and so it works great for commercials. But ultimately, I think this could be a great tool for training. I think it can be a great way to test ideas before you do them. So, we see that the network of virtual studios we're creating one day may just be a huge network of simulators. and not like the Matrix style that you would go in and live in this virtual world, but simulate things that you may want to do in the future and see if that's a good idea. The best way to know is to see it sometimes.
Right.
So we just see that, right now the video market is a great place for us to be. But the bigger vision for this is to really be able to simulate virtual worlds for other use cases as well.
Tim, do you ever see this as a place where you could potentially try to run plays on, right? If you're a quarterback and you're practicing and you have a fully immersive, is it 270 degrees? Is that what it is?
Yep.
270 degree, you can see the entire field. You can potentially run plays. You can have, somebody that's in rehab or somebody that is trying to come back, onto the field, be able to still simulate game reps. Is that something that is envisioned there?
100%. One of the use cases we're seeing is that when you watch game film, it's so detached from the actual game because you're seeing it from a bird's eye view. Now imagine if you took the exact same play and then you were able to do it in game engine. So you're seeing from the perspective of the quarterback. You actually do that play again and say, hey, what you didn't see here was this defensive end shifted slightly, and that's what made the play change. And those are the kind of perspectives that I think really help, a quarterback in their awareness and any of the playmakers. So that idea of being, watching game film, I think is going to be something that a lot of universities are going to turn to, and a lot of professional sports will see very soon.
That's awesome. Silk, Nick, any final questions for Tim before we let him get on to his, I'm sure, very busy day today?
Tim, what we got to do to make this exclusive Florida Gator and no SEC or no Florida State Miami type situation, man?
Oh, man. You know what? If we just put a few more on the campus, we can make that happen.
Perfect. We'll talk to procurement for you. Tim, it's a pleasure, man. Congratulations to all your success.